All right, what's good, people? Back with Black Swan on another podcast. This time we're going to be talking about, is self-publishing the future within the realm of doing manga and comics? Well, with my opinion, man, with everything that we now know about these establishments, I think it's for the best. Honestly, these establishments have proven way too much that they don't care about the producer and how they will force you, lock you up in a dungeon to produce all kinds of material that is not even of quality, right? To the point where you want to feel like what you are producing is not even the best that you can do. How then am I going to be published under one of the biggest establishments in the world that no longer unlocks my full potential, but instead sabotages my full potential? The whole point of going to the establishment was because they had the experience, they had the knowledge to tap into your well of potential, then bring it out, right? So you can tell stories that are transformative, where you yourself transform with each and every chapter that you produce. But now they don't seem to care. And we saw that hunchback editor-in-chief of Shonen Jump, the new one, he's jacked in the head. He's a prime example of, hey, you want to join us? We don't know if your stuff will be successful or not, but you're welcome to try. I would not want to be part of that. What do you think?
I'm guessing they have a goal in mind. And I think to myself, is their goal to make money? Is their goal to put political activist topics into their work? Is their goal to create something and then potentially have it bubble over time? I think that a lot of times the people who are in charge of these companies, they've been in this position for so long, but they lose sight and they kind of like arrogant. And I think the best works kind of come when you create things without the thought of trying to tap into a market. And what I mean by that is like, I'm going to create this piece of work just based on, I need to get this out here. I need to say this. I feel like whatever I'm going to say here is going to impact people. The other perspective is, oh, I want to make this because I could see that this is going to influence so many people to buy it. It's like, okay, you can do that, but at the end of the day, it's not making a change. It's not making a difference. It's not having that impact upon people the way something that is like more influential, more informative, and things like that would. So I think that a lot of times the companies can be kind of arrogant and kind of lose sight based on just because they have that control factor and they have that name. That's what I think.
Well, I would say if the OGs remained in the high positions, I don't think they would sabotage something they sacrificed their lives to build. This usually happens when these establishments are sold off to bigger corporations, right? Obviously, corporations like BlackRock and so on, or other companies that are run by BlackRock. The question we need to ask is, why do they sell off their companies? If anything, now knowing that Shueisha is owned by Marubeni, which is a Japanese BlackRock, why? Why? Why did Shueisha feel the need to take the Marubeni money? Marubeni came in there, according to their website, they came in there and said, look, we want to help you with service delivery. We want to make your delivery of printed works more efficient. So what we're going to do is that we want to upgrade the infrastructure, but we don't want just a share up in here. We want a stake up in here. So we need to have some corporate influence on how things are done. If we want to help you distribute product, we have a say on how the product is going to look like, what it's going to say, and some of the themes behind the narratives. Now, I really doubt Shueisha, the top execs at Shueisha, were profoundly dumb enough to just say, oh, really? You just want to help us? That's it? Okay. Right? There had to have been some form of convincing or threats that were given to the Shueisha exec that if you don't let us run your distribution, we are just going to sabotage your business. We are going to get the banks involved to screw you over. We're going to put the squeeze on you. There's no other way. You know, if the execs at Shueisha did not want to fully sell the company, they had to give a huge stake to BlackRock basically to handle their distribution. And in doing so, they put their policies in there. And now there's a corporate governance style of leadership. And it's no longer led by creatives, it's led by corporate government
Mm.
style greedy bastards, you know?
I could agree with portions of that for sure. But I think that from a self-published perspective is that what choice, like the average person, the people on YouTube, the people self-publishing their mangas or creating their mangas in their basement and trying to submit them to these companies. In reality, we really don't have a choice but to self-publish. Like the average person, and if you don't self-publish, uh, there's only a few percentage of people who actually make enough money to really sustain themselves. So it's like most of the time, I think that you don't have a choice but to self-publish. You don't have a choice but to go to events. You don't have a choice but to get a following online. You don't have a choice but to do YouTube and all these other things to promote yourself. You're in a situation where you're forced to do this. Like, yeah, you could get with a company, you get published, and then you get some royalties from your books. You get a small percentage of adaptations depending on your contract. But most of the time, you're still going to be broke. You can't afford to
Yeah.
live. I think like the Corey Kenshin way was, I mean, he's already popular on YouTube, but at the same time, he's got millions of followers. He got those millions of followers to buy his book, and hey, he made a bunch of money from that shit. So I think that's
And
kind of like, I mean, not all of us are like social media influencers to that degree, but I think that's probably like the best way to really make money from comics or manga.
well, definitely somebody like Corey, who had millions of followers, um, is a disingenuous way of rising to the top in the manga space. The guy was so arrogant to tell Mappa and another Studio Wix, that hey, I'm working on this. I need y'all to animate it. And when he said that, it was like, bro, you do realize you need more than 5, 6, 10 volumes before they can consider animating your stuff. But you could tell that it had nothing to do with having a message behind the story at all. It was just, hey, this is the best way to capitalize. It's the best way to live a fantasy that I had in mind.
It was like the equivalent of what the big corporations do. His thing was influence. I have enough influence to get a manga anime made from a manga I made because look how many people follow me. Look how many people contributed to me. You guys will work with me, right? But sometimes in their case, it's not just money. It's like their corporate identity. It's about these connections that people have. And no matter how big you thought you were, you clearly weren't big enough to get that anime done by that studio.
Exactly. You have to be like Giga. You know, Giga paid that studio to animate his piece of trash 20-minute anime, which we know nothing about as to like what it's about, unless you have some Thailand cultural background. Otherwise, you don't get it. And even if you do know, it still is pretty terrible. We don't know how much Giga had to pay, but it was a lot, like in the hundreds of
Mhm.
thousands of dollars, right? He had a legendary composer over there. So it looks like even if you are a big influencer, to get that anime, you need to sponsor yourself. You do, which is another form basically of self-publishing, I suppose, right? Mm. You just had the connections and the money to knock at the Japanese door after spending like 100 years doing some hunchback videos, making normies laugh and giggle. And you generated money from a mass of zombies. You know, comparing ourselves to people like that, it's a waste of time because we have something to say. We're not trying to capitalize on something the way they are. They see opportunity to make more bank, opportunity to raise their names higher, to feel better about themselves. It's about themselves. It's not about creating a work that can influence a generation. It's not. It's about, hey, I want to just get more cash and I want to be worshipped and so on.
And you
Yeah,
got to
go
think
ahead.
about it from a foreigner perspective, right? Like, let's say like they have these competitions that, the Japanese introduced to like the worldwide audience and like, okay, we want submissions from everywhere. When you think about it, there have only been, so since I think Shueisha's been around since 1926. And according to what I've researched, there's only two people that two foreigners that I think have been outright published or serialized since 1926. Those two people were Boichi and Rafal Jaki. And that's since 1926.
100
So
years.
everybody, yeah, so everybody uploading on the websites and contributing to these contests and everything like that is fine. Like if you got something, definitely try it. I'm not trying to stop you from, trying to do things. But realistically, we're talking about 100 years, and there's only been two people published at Shueisha, foreigners that I know of. And then I think at Kodansha, they've been around since 1909, and I think it's maybe three people.
Imagine, like, the track record, it speaks for itself, and people won't be like, oh, nah, Coffee's doom and gloom. Like, guys, these people have built a massive dungeon and they're expanding the dungeons, right? Now, Kodansha's creating its own dungeon. They're using this guy you told me about, Vinny. Make a video about it soon, right? As a fish hook, as a trap. Look at Vinny as they did with Shueisha. Look at Rafal. He made it. Come to the dungeon. It's not a dungeon, guys. Come through. Then you get locked up in there. All that traffic.
Well, my thing would be like this, right? I wouldn't tell you not to do it, not to try to work with the company, but don't look at that as the end all be all. Keep your options open. Work if you like I say, if you can work with them, work with them. If you can network, work with them. Try to open, but you can see the chances of that happening are slim to none. So I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. That'd be crazy. So
In a
I mean, hmm.
in a way, I mean, I get it. You don't want to dictate to people, hey, don't do it. The way I see it, it's a boat that has multiple holes. And you're like, no, we can sail to the other side with a bunch of holes in that boat. Really? Yeah, bro. I mean, it's still afloat. Okay, when you put a little bit more weight on it, are you gonna make it halfway? No, right? This is the mindset that I speak against. The false hope, the false hope mindset that we all grew up with. It's like, look, you're not being negative when you call a spade a spade. To call that boat that it's got holes, you're not being negative. Because when you stranded out there, you're sinking and you're about to get eaten by a shark. Who will you blame? Right? You're gonna blame the guy who told you not to get on it. Why didn't he just yank me out of the boat? Or it's because of him. If he never told me it had holes, I know I would have made it as a coping mechanism. Right? It's the mindset of the establishments, the government, the whatever outside of me can save me. No, man, you can save yourself. You just need to equip yourself properly. There's information on how to build a boat. You can build your own boat, right? You can build a sturdy one and you can sail the seas to wherever you want. Because in 100 years, these people have shown that they don't need the foreigner. They don't want them. No matter how good your art is, there are people in Japan with 10 times better art than all of us combined out here. People got to wake up.
I mean, you definitely have a good point for sure. I guess from my perspective, I just look at it as like throwing stuff here, like, okay, start your business, invest, try to work with people that you can interact with and, get things going, go to conventions, go to shops, do whatever you got to do. But then at the same time, if you want to enter the competition, okay, do a little small something for a competition, turn it in, and then move on. I'm not like really invest all of your time and effort into that. You know what I mean? I guess like if you have a like there's a helicopter flying overhead, you're on an island, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm here surviving, but let me put this white flag up and see if they see me. Let me just wave it around. If they don't see me, well, I guess I'll go back to doing what I've been doing.
It's putting up the white flag doesn't take much of kilojoules, right? Then go ahead and do it.
Mm,
Some people have the
mm,
stamina to create multiple works at the same time. Use up all the stamina you've got. But if you're somebody who is very conscious of how much energy you are emitting a day, then you know that you need to be precise with the energy you spend on whatever activity. You need to be precise, right? For me, I remember being fried by Frederick of Saturday AM. Fried, bro. I was 18. That nigga told me, Joel, two more chapters and we got a deal. I did it in a month, right? Dude, I did two chapters in a month and I submitted it to him and he said, yeah, well, nah, we're not gonna take you, bro. This too much like Dragon Ball and it is what it is. I was fried for almost a year and a half because
mm,
I emitted more energy than I thought possible as a teenager, where you have a bigger well of energy because of youth. I dug deeper as a teenager and it fried me beyond belief to the point
mm,
where I never forgot as how important it is to be precise with the energy that you use. Be precise and check out the probabilities. If the probability of you making it in Japan or the helicopter seeing your flag is 3%, 5%, 15%, then you spend 15% of the energy on waving the white flag.
mm,
And then the
mm,
other percentage, the 85, you use it on building the boat,
mm,
right?
mm,
That's the only way.
mm. That's a great way to look at it. That's right. Spend that much energy and compartmentalize that energy. That's great. That's fucking great way to look at it for sure. And then like yeah, so even in if like I said, if you want nowadays, the last two people who got published through the big companies, I think both of them had like really big social media followings. So it's like that's another thing. They're publishing people based on the traction that those people can bring in for them. I guess it's like a free
Marketing
advertisement.
tool.
Like yeah,
Yeah.
like I'll publish your work because it doesn't cost me anything to publish it, and then I'll just get your viewers or the people that the traffic that you bring in. So it's an
It's a
interesting time.
scam, bro. It's a scam. It's creative on their part, the scammers, but for the people who are so gleeful about the hope, about the chance, well, they get butthurt and they end up not understanding as to why did this happen. They might ask around like, hey man, I did my best and I thought I could get in. And then their friends could be like, nah, bro, you just weren't good enough. Give it up, hang it up. It's your fault. You're retarded. They become insanely, insanely discouraged, fried and vaporized. And there goes their dreams. And then they become a hunchback. Then they see another guy working hard and like, why is this guy working hard? Oh, he thinks he's better than us. All of a sudden, they're going to come after you because you're working hard, right? You're trying to get somewhere. But now you're saying, no, I'm not going to go the route you went. I'm not going to take the boat filled with holes. I sit here and build my boat. They're going to come through and be like, why are you building that boat? Why don't you just realize that nobody can sail to the other side? You know, crabs in a bucket. Yeah, what standard are you building this boat by? It's like, well, what standard was your boat built by? They don't know. Which wood did you use? They don't know. When you come through, like, look, I know which wood I'm using. Well, how do you know which wood you're using? Because I studied, bro. I compared all the wood on this island, and this one is the most sturdy. And they don't want to hear it because they want you to be a loser as they are.
What do you think the best strategies for self-publishing are? The best techniques for self-publishing. If you weren't going to go with the company and you were like, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. What do you think a person needs to do, and what qualities you think they need to have?
The biggest advantage before even having personality in self-publishing is having the right aesthetic. That's the first thing. And having the right aesthetic is kind of difficult to build, right? You choose an archetype. And then I'll make an example, let's say, of that Fifi manga artist girl. You know her, the one who's always wearing a mask, like Kusanagi.
Mm, maybe, not sure,
No.
100% sure.
You've never seen her?
No.
Fifi?
All these people, to me, in my mind, they all blend together. Like, I've probably seen the faces, but I'm not good with the names.
I need to give you an example of somebody you know. What about Fifi? I saw a video of her
One more time.
earlier today. Fifi
Can
Manga.
you send me a link?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
Fifi mangaka.
Oh yeah, I was right. Fifi Mangaka, it's one word. Okay, look at the thumbnails, right? And no hate to her. It's whatever.
Got you.
But she's an example of what I mean by first pick your aesthetic, right? In her case, she got that girl next door type of vibe, presentation, right? And usually these thumbnails, you are expecting to see things behind the scenes. When you click on it, usually it's just her already drawing everything. So the allure of I'm going to be seeing behind the scenes as this creator does things. It's selling the fantasy of, you know, being a successful or working manga artist. Do you also know the other girl called Sia Oum? She's the ultimate example. She's a very good artist.
No.
Took 50 years to create her chapter 1 comic book, but oh well, she did it. There it is. I just sent you her channel.
Mhm.
She is the ultimate example when it comes to using aesthetics, right? I don't know what this woman stands for, what her message is. She is indeed about the craft, but the craft is really well sold. The idea of it with how professional her aesthetics are in each video, right? You really feel like you are living vicariously through her. That's number one. If you can achieve this level of aesthetics, it doesn't even matter if you have a personality or a message. You're automatically just going to get views, right? Not to say that you want to get impact. Yeah, there's no impact when I watch her because like she's been doing this same comic for like 6 years now, and we don't know what's going on. It's always just vibes, and of course, dudes be like, "Yay, she's pretty and cool and chill." So that's advice number one. Go ahead and try to upgrade your aesthetic, choose the theme, the fantasy that you want to sell. Number two, having personality and charisma.
From that first note, so basically, she may be getting paid through multiple sources, right? So she may not just be making money through her art, right? She probably is making money through YouTube, maybe Patreon, and everything else, right? So it's probably like an entrepreneur thing because being in the field of doing your own thing, you're going to have to wear multiple hats, right? So it's like she's probably making money from many different sources, including art, right?
Well, here's the thing, bro, right? In her case, she is a professional American comic book pipeline, right? She was trained by Marks of History, right? So she works at Marvel or she'll work for Top Cow, yada, yada, yada. So she's been receiving, I don't know how much money, but enough money. I mean, she lives in a fancy house. I don't know if it's because the husband is rich. We don't know, right? But ultimately, her main stream of income for the longest of time, I think it's because of getting commissions and doing work for Top Cow, right? That's mostly it. YouTube seems like something that she was doing for fun, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to find if she even has a Patreon, bro. She doesn't have one. She doesn't need it.
So YouTube for her is probably like more of a marketing tool. So that's kind of probably why
Yeah.
she uploads, right?
Yeah, and I mean, here she even says she had her Kickstarter funded in 15 minutes. And all these people who are able to fund their stuff in
Yeah,
such
so-
short amounts of time, they are professionals who are in that pipeline, in that circle of friends. It's not like they're just some dude that was in the garage and everything got funded in 15. No, these people have been in the industry for decades. And then they come here, they make you feel like you can do it also, that you just got to work hard, commit and whatnot, and you'll be funded too in 15 minutes. That's not true.
With the self-publishing, that's a strategy that you think definitely needs to be had, is like focusing on the aesthetics of your YouTube and whatever else you're doing, your website or whatever else you're selling. Like the aesthetics is like one of the biggest things.
That's the biggest thing. And the aesthetics on the YouTube is the biggest. Is the biggest. The amount of sales you can get are not completely based on the aesthetics. Your product has to be good, right? Most people will support you because they like the aesthetic, they like you, especially if you want to be Mr. Nice Guy and not step on anyone's toes. Yeah, people will support you just for the fun of it, but it's not genuine because you'll have nobody tell you what the story is about. And you will feel it. These people don't talk about that hard. And like, I never got any real feedback. Of course you didn't.
So number one, be aesthetics. And what was your second? I cut you off earlier, but you were saying like number two was something else that you needed to have of like a self-published artist.
Charisma on that YouTube channel, right?
Resume?
No, charisma. Yeah, have a interesting personality because Sia, this girl Sia, she isn't boring to listen to. She's got a nice personality. You know, I mean, okay, sometimes it is boring, but sometimes it's not. At least there's something there with personality. And thirdly, I would say consistency. And so far, all these things are YouTube centered. Consistency on the YouTube. Of course, you have to be working on your product at the same time, right? But for a while, this girl Sia has been nowhere, and then she started being consistent with her live streams. And she all of a sudden got more subscribers, right? So aesthetics, personality, consistency, and I would say lastly, have a message. Honestly, like what do you stand for? Sia stands for herself. This is my life as a comic book creator. Join me on my journey where I grow and explore different ideas in art. That's why it works. It's a simple call to action. Come with me on my journey. You know, join me on my, it's a call to action. A lot of these dudes don't have calls to action on their channels. It's just, hey guys, my name is Squeegee and I like cookies and I draw art. Nigga, what? You know? Come on.
In those ingredients, how important do you think is networking as an ingredient?
Now, networking is ultra important, but only with people who have a similar vision in mind. People who actually have product that they are working on as well. Because I looking at Sia again, she already has a strong network outside of YouTube. She has a network in the establishments. So in her case, we can look at her stuff and be like, oh, well, you know, she sometimes interviews important people, but these important people are people she's already known for years. Now, if you are outside of her realm, let's look at somebody like Irene, that girl I once spoke about, who did a Kickstarter in a couple of days and made all kinds of money because dudes were simping. I look at her network, and she is adjacent to the common America people. She ain't fully in there, but she just looks like she's in between because she's not stepping on anyone's toes. When I look at the people on her live stream, I don't know any of those people. I don't know what they are working on. I'm not even interested. They all look drunk, spaced out, blasted high, and downright miserable. Irene's the one who always looks bubbly, probably because she had an edible, right? Who knows? But ultimately, it's like, well, your network, Irene, seems to be lackluster. Like, you don't need these people. Like, you collaborate with people you don't need. You know, we don't know what they bring to the table.
So would you say somebody just starting off, let's say like I was an artist, I was a pretty good artist, I got got my thing down a little bit. Let's say I got my story, my writing down, my editing down a little bit, and I need to get my marketing up. So if I just didn't have any network, how would I go about getting this network? What tips would you give a person to like build this network up?
I would say anyone who wants to be part of any network, if you're going to be taken seriously, let's say they want to join the Koffee network. If you want me to take you seriously, I need to see what product you got, how many chapters you've done, and in how much time. If you got 10 chapters done in 10 years, I ain't taking you serious. So the first thing is how much product you got and
Mm.
how long does it take you to uh, complete a product? Who is your target market? And if you're joining this network, is your vision aligned with the vision here, right? You want to join another network? Does your vision align with theirs? See the guy who made the video against me, Pink Bird Studios? He mentioned Saturday AM being a possibility for him to publish at. Saturday AM is its own network, right, of hunchbacks and freaks. But he showed that he's ignorant, that you don't even know what Saturday AM actually stands for. Because if you did, most likely you wouldn't want to join them. You're misinformed, uninformed that these people have been doing dirty business for a while. All that news came out long ago, not because of me per se, but other people exposed Saturday. So you got to know what your network that you're trying to be part of actually stands for, what their vision is, right? And how you could contribute to it also.
How to get in contact with these people? Should they go to like just YouTube? Should they go out in the flesh and meet people? Should they go to conventions? Should they do all the above or focus on one more predominantly, you think?
I think it depends on what they're trying to achieve. Now, if you're trying to be in the Comicsgate network, you're trying to be in the convention network, then you're better off going to the conventions and buying those important people dinner, right? You're better off like while they order a pizza, an expensive one, you pay for it, and then you're like, hey, let me offer you an extra milkshake, bro, on me, right? The milkshake comes in, they just ate the pizza, they start slurping the milkshake, then you be like, so I hope you like that. I had this idea. Here's my portfolio right here. Tell me what you think. I'd like to be part of your squad. What do I need to do? You think I have the skills for it? If not, what do you advise me to do? And now that their stomach is full at your expense, they'll be happy to let you know. And then, when that's an answer you don't like, you'll be like, "Oh, well, I appreciate it. Let's do this again sometime. Are you free 2 weeks from now or in the next convention? I mean, I know a good burger joint, just like that. You have to, in a way, buy your way in, but a couple of burgers is easy. That's if you want to be in the convention route. If it's people who are just online, in which you can't meet, sadly, obviously, you'll have to send emails with DMs, and there's a 50-50 chance that they'll respond or won't.
I would say on the topic of self-publishing, hold yourself to the same standards that the companies would set for you. If you work for a company and they give you deadlines, make sure you reach those deadlines. If you're supposed to be to work at 8 o'clock, you be to work at 8 o'clock. Or because you should treat your own company or your own self-published works the same way a company would treat you, with expectations for yourself. And just like with a company, if you don't meet these deadlines, motherfucker, you're out of here. So I think that if you take it seriously, you definitely should have those expectations. It shouldn't be a job or somebody, your employer, making you be the best that you can be. You know what I mean? It's like, have that same sense of responsibility for your own business and personal life.
Exactly. Take it seriously. Don't sit there hoping that somebody gonna give you a chance because you're a nice person. A lot of these people bet on their personality as a ticket into a opportunity. No, man. The nicer you are, the faker you actually are. And people know. The more virtuous you seem to be, the more hate and filth that you're actually suppressing. It's obvious, right? So no more being PC, be real. If you are incapable of being real, you are incapable of if you can't commit to yourself to be a real person, you can't commit to a product, right? You're just not going to be able to do anything, finish anything, because you're living a double-minded life. And that's actually why these people can't finish their projects, right? They got no product because you're living double-mindedly. You got cognitive dissonance. You spend more energy presenting yourself as a nice, virtuous person. That's 80% of your energy to frame yourself a certain way, this false image of yourself. And then what's left is a 20% that you need to use to create your product, but you too fried. That's why y'all can't finish nothing, right?
Yeah, and times change. It's like you know, with the social media space and everybody being viewable, it's like people can see things. If you're not being genuine, maybe people who don't have are more ignorant, maybe sometimes they can't see it. But a lot of times it's visible. A lot of times the people that are able to do that is because they got put in position. So I would say, you know, you don't have to say everything that's on your mind at all times, but at the same time, you can filter your conversation, but at the same time, tell the truth. You know, tell what you think and in a way that you, if you can't tell it directly, you know, tell it in a way that still your root is at the truth.
It's not that hard. Okay, maybe it is if you've been living a lie, but just recalibrate, people, recalibrate. Otherwise you're gonna stay in the hole that you're in and you're gonna blame other people for it. So it is what it is.
All right.
Oh well, I guess that's it for this one. If y'all
That's it.
enjoyed, click that like
Signing out.
button, subscribe,
Subview, comment, everything.
everything. Until the next
Bye.
one. All right.